Let's get some economic analysis now. Warren Hogan, he joins me. Of course, he's economic advisor at Judo Bank. Warren, big week on the economic front. My EFO on Thursday. Let's start with your assessment of how the nation's economy has gone throughout 2021. What's your overall report card?
Yeah, good afternoon, Kieran. Thanks for having me on. I think the Australian economy has had a stellar performance in 2021. Remarkable, really, given the nature of the shock from last year, the recovery we saw, and then, of course, the Delta lockdowns. In terms of industry, the construction sector has been the engine of economic activity. Apart from a couple of short shutdowns in Sydney and Melbourne, it's really powered through the year. And we can't, forget how strong our export markets have been. That's been critical to income in Australia. Just as the iron ore price started to fall, the coal price lifted. We got a bit of luck there. So that's been really important. And I don't think also you can forget how important government policy has been. The lockdowns and the policy response, the income support from state and federal, low rates from the RBA, all of that has been critical in keeping the economy on an even keel. And as we finish this year, I think we'll see on Thursday with the employment report we're going to get, jobs back to pre-pandemic levels, unemployment back to pre-pandemic levels, and maybe even hours work back to a new high level. So the economy is really in great shape given everything it's had to withstand.
All right, then, Warren, great shape to wrap up the year. How does 2022 look then?
Well, we're taking good momentum. We're reopening in the southeast, in Sydney and Melbourne. All the evidence is that people are getting out and about now, and those really impacted industries are starting to really thrive. In fact, you look around, consumer confidence is good. Business confidence is high. The demand for labour is strong as we've ever seen in this country. If you want a job, there's one out there, I suppose, is one way to think about it. What actually worries me is that everyone has the same view. Next year's going to be a great year for the Australian economy. So I think it's more a case of what could go wrong. And I think the one thing that's sitting lurking beneath the surface is inflation, which so far has been moderate in Australia. I suspect in the last couple of months it's starting to pick up. And if we see outcomes like we're seeing in the US or Europe or in most places overseas, actually, I think that could be a bit of a problem for us in an otherwise strong economy, whether that means that prices and the cost of living is going up by more than wages, which, of course, will be a political issue, of course, or if it requires interest rates to go up, which will hurt the housing market and the economy. Inflation's I think the curveball for next year, but otherwise, it's looking like a very good year for Australia 2022.
The year concludes with a big economic statement on Thursday. You'll be back with us on the program on Thursday for your analysis, as always, but I'll be joined by Jim Chalmers, the Shadow Treasurer, and Treasurer Frydenberg off the back of the mid-year budget update. What are you going to be looking for, Warren?
Look, the main thing is what's the budget position? The cost of getting this economy through the pandemic has been a big build-up in government debt, big budget deficits. And so what's it now look like? And, it's probably going to be better than what we thought, despite the Delta lockdowns. The economy's done incredibly well. Some people have the deficits falling by as much as 30% over the next 4 years. We're expecting at the moment about $350 billion worth of deficits over the next 4 years. That could come down by over $100 billion. So let's see what that number is. If every billion less is a billion less debt that our children are going to have to pay off at some stage. So that's number one. Number two is what are the forecasts? As I said, everyone's expecting a strong year. The government's not going to forecast anything different. What are they doing with wages and inflation, though? That's going to be a political issue for the opposition. And, of course, it's a tricky one because wages are picking up around the world, but not here. Will they pick up? And then finally, I want to see what they're doing with their immigration assumptions. It's absolutely critical to business in Australia to get people back into this country. Businesses are screaming out for new staff. And, yes, it's great that Australians can get a job, but we need to get those immigration assumptions and we need to get the borders open quickly as possible. So what is the government assuming there?